Hey folks, welcome to this last Valheim video. The journey is finally over and we are ready to tackle the last boss, and as always I'll be showing you how we got there and just having a bit more of a longer talk about the game I guess in this episode. If you're interested in all of the previous episodes and how we got to this point, do check out the playlist in the description that has all of the videos. Without further ado, 83% of you are not subscribed, so if you are watching this and you're not subscribed, do consider subscribing and ringing that bell, and leaving a comment and a like helps tremendously with the algorithm and the way YouTube works. So as you can see, wandering through the plains, we actually came across this big stone sort of structure, and in the middle of it was a summoning altar, which was definitely for the last boss. These summoning platforms required a totem, a small little effigy that we had to find, so we set out and tried to figure out what exactly that was. Wandering through the plains, we decided to set up a small camp here, and for the first time not really set up a base, we just wanted to progress through the game. Now the plains, for those that don't play the game, are one of the most dangerous areas. There are mosquitoes, goblins, and just a variety of things that can even one-shot you through very, very strong gear. So that was the objective, was to keep our health high, so we were eating a meat pie, sausage and lox meat. We'd learned how to craft that meat pie with the barley that we'd found and the machines that we'd been able to craft with the new dragon tears. The game's just super scenic, and as you can see, it just looks awesome as the night rolls in and the smoke comes in and you're just chilling, you're in a server, you're with your mates and you're just playing the game and progressing through a story. You'll really find some enjoyment in this. Like, don't go from point A to point B. If you go from point A to point B, you can get through the game really quickly and you'll miss the whole fun of building and exploring and just doing these little, I guess you would call them side missions, but obviously there is no objective in the game. You sort of make your own objective, but yeah, these little side missions such as, alright, let's go explore this area, let's go get a load of iron, probably too much, but let's go get some, you know. So doing your own thing in the game is where the procedurally generated events and where the world really comes to life. So once we were well rested and we had food and we had all of our equipment, we headed into these plains and we began to come across these small kind of, I guess you would call them like troll villages, and inside them was flax. There was the summoning trophy, which you can see there in the distance. It's a little purple trophy, and what we would do is we would take the flax and we would put it in this spinning wheel. The spinning wheel would then spin it into thread, which would allow us to make plated greaves and better armor. So what we did was we decided that before we tackled the sort of last boss of the game, we wanted to go on a journey and clear out all of these camps, get all of the sort of totems that we needed, all of the black metal from the goblins and the berserkers and all of this stuff that was attacking us. To be really careful, these 1-star guys can absolutely rock you. We even had some 2-star goblins, which, yeah, they really hurt. So we were clearing out all of these, and we had the bone mass spirit buff. That was to give us a little bit of damage reduction, because you definitely need it. And we cleared out all of these areas. We also came into contact with some shamans. Shamans raise enemies and keep people alive in these bubbles, so you have to focus them first. Once we'd cleared a lot of them, we had enough thread to create some plated greaves, plated armor, plated helmets, and also like a cape of your choice. You could choose the color. I decided to go for a red cape. And we then headed back out into the plains to get the remainder of the trophies that we needed. Again, kiting back with our bows. At this point, I'd actually been very careful to not die, and my skills were getting way up there. I was up to about 40-50 skills. I think by the end of it I was about 60 skills, and not dying definitely has made a huge difference. It doesn't seem like the stats in the game are that important, but they really are. The difference between, say, having 20 bow skills and 60 is massive. Same for your sprint and your jump. The more run speed and skill you've got, the less your stamina drains, and when you're in these long fights or in these sort of what areas where you have to charge your bow, you get less stamina drain. Running backwards, less stamina drain. It just makes the game so much easier. To note, what's really been enjoyable about the survival aspect of the game is the food system. So I know I've not really talked about it, but effectively what happens is, depending on what meal you've eaten, you'll get a certain amount of HP and a certain amount of stamina. So this meal in particular gives me a ton of HP, because I'm in a very dangerous area, and it doesn't give me the absolute maximum stamina, but it does give me a lot of stamina. There are some like soups you can make that give less health but more stamina. That can be useful if you're in the mountain, but the interesting thing is, if you don't eat, you can still play the game completely fine. You'll just have a smaller stamina bar and like no health. So the survivor aspect is definitely keeping your food topped up and the right food, but it's not so negative that if you eat the wrong thing, that your gameplay just feels awful and unfun. So I think that was the main enjoyment of the game, that there was a survival aspect. Staying alive meant your skills increased, but it wasn't absolutely crippling if you died, and it wasn't horrendous if you didn't get the exact right mixture of foods. It just means basically you perform a little bit better. So I thought it was really, really enjoyable in that aspect, and I think it's a real cool concept, because most people don't get the food and the stamina management in survival games right. So basically what we've been doing is we've been going along, we've been clearing these camps, picking up all the gold. We've now fully armoured up. I've got my red cape, I've got my steel plate helmet, I've got 223 health, I've got good bow skills, and we're now heading off to summon the boss. By the way, one of the people we play with, Jamie, he wasn't featured in this last couple of boss kills because he's been busy with real life stuff, but he also needs to upgrade his PC. So I'm trying to explain to him that when he's not lagging and he's not on 20 frames, he'll enjoy games more. And he's saying at the moment that the reason he's not enjoying games is because there's no games, and the only games he's playing are these shitty games because those are the only games he can run. So we've got to try and convince Jamie in the comments that when he gets a better PC and he can play more games, different games, his enjoyment will come back. So I want to see you in the comments. Just tell Jamie that he needs to upgrade his PC, and that way I know you've watched this part of the video as well. So eventually we made it to the boss, and this was the final boss of the game, so it was a monumental moment. We'd finally got to this point, and what's so good about it is when you finally raise the boss up and you go to fight the boss, we've set up a little portal here behind us in case we die. You go to fight this last boss. The actual boss isn't that brilliant, but that's not the point. The point is the journey of getting to that kill. So you can see here, we've got all of the totems placed in. I think you need 5. And now he's been summoned. We've got enough obsidian arrows for a small city. we spent a long time crafting them. We've popped our buffs, our stamina buff and our damage reduction buff. And this boss is called Yagluth, I believe, if I'm pronouncing that right. And what he is he seems to be a large sort of skeleton king that crawls along the ground. And he completely changes how the arena looks. You can see it's gone to this really nice like ambient occlusion, bloomy looking red and purple and pink dots in the sky. The sky's gone foggy. There's like absolute metal music playing. And he has a few attacks. Obviously we'd never seen him before, so at the beginning we were doing alright. We're just ranging him down. But he wasn't taking much damage, considering we've got like 65 bow skill or something like that. Logic's got a lot of bow skill as well. He wasn't taking. We were getting flanked by mosquitoes, and we were like, okay, this zone's going to be pretty awkward here. So what we wanted to do was just like keep ourselves alive away from the mosquitoes and figure out what the guy does. So what he does is he does this kind of laser beam attack, this fire breathing attack. So obviously you've got to stay out of the way of that. He also does a meteor strike, and one thing that was kind of, I don't know if it's an intended mechanic or not, he does this meteor strike which is really hard to see what's happening and what is going on. You can see there he raises his fist and I was on fire, like what is going on. Trick here is to look up into the sky and then you can see where they're coming from and where they're going. I found that to be super useful. Lastly, he does this slam attack, and the slam attack is, it's kind of strange because it slams the ground and it doesn't do that much damage. It does enough, but not a lot. But it actually breaks the terrain and then puts these small rocks everywhere. And then you end up, as you're fighting him, picking up all of these rocks, which weigh you down, which drains your stamina, which means you have less inventory space to carry stuff, and you just generally feel more sluggish. And I don't know if that's an intended mechanic, but it was pretty cool to see that sort of mechanic going on in the fight. Really get much damage done with the arrows, and I guess most bosses are slightly resistant to the arrows, because otherwise you could just stay at maximum range and drill him down with 10 arrow players, and it wouldn't be much fun. We were basically what we were doing was we were just rotating. He would cast down his smash or his meteors. We would call out if there was a meteor strike. Somebody would get out of the way, then somebody would go in close for the melee hits, and eventually we got him down. And again, yeah, I thought the boss fight was cool enough that it was memorable. And that's what these bosses are. They're not Dark Souls. They're not some incredible feat of mechanics and readability and crazy boss fights, but they do change the way the arena looks a lot. See all the cool lights and everything like that. But the main thing I'm trying to get across in this game is, if you just signed in and you just went from point A to point B and did the bare minimum, like, okay, I've got enough arrows, let's go summon this boss. Right, I've got enough defense, let's go kill this boss. Right, I've just got enough iron, let's go kill the other boss. I've made my hammer, let's go kill the other boss. You could blitz through this game relatively quickly, but I think where the fun of the game has been for me is just playing in a group, going on these little adventures that maybe you didn't need to. We didn't need to go and farm 1,000 iron, but when you go and you commit to like a big journey or a new build and you have to go farm materials or set up a wood farming camp, or all of these little things, it just makes more things happen in the game. More of these things happen because you're choosing to do them, and I think that's really cool. The game definitely encourages you to go out and travel, and as a result, I found myself playing, I think over 100 hours I've got played on the game, and I just would sign in and find something to do. One of the things I signed in to do the other day was I went and farmed red mushrooms for like an hour, which sounds really boring, right? But you just put your music on, you run around the little village you've created, and you go and pick up all of the red mushrooms for the soups you need to make, and you're making them for like the guild, and then you can craft all of those soups, and then maybe you sign offline and somebody signs in and see there's a whole cupboard full of soups. It doesn't sound like that exciting saying it out loud, but it's just been a really chill experience playing the game. Truly trust my recommendation of the game. It's a very, very good game. But that was Valheim. I've played over 100 hours of it, and I've truly enjoyed playing it. The journey from if you see my very first house, to having a full port set up with teleporting systems and food systems and farming routes and ships and all of this stuff has just been very, very fun. And I highly recommend the game, and I hope you've enjoyed this playthrough. I might do more of this type of content if it's something that is well received, so do, motivate me with some likes and comments. So yeah, I think the main fun aspect was just playing in a group, and as a result, playing Valheim has made me want to play more co-op games, and as a result I have been doing that. So you may have noticed I haven't been streaming. I've just been playing offline and playing co-op games with my friends. I find it much more relaxing than sitting on camera on stream. I feel like when I stream I'm been relentlessly judged, which is not a slight on you, the viewers, it's a slight on me, but that's sometimes the way it feels. And it's just been nice to play offline, do my own little journey, and then collect my thoughts on the game, and then compile some videos, and I hope you've enjoyed it. So that was Valheim. I personally really, really enjoyed the experience, and I would really recommend it. The game was $14.99. It's one of the best £15 games I've ever played. I've just looked on Steam. I've got 138 hours in the game. For £15 is an unreal return on investment. And yeah, very, very enjoyable. And obviously, when we ended up killing the final boss, it dropped this cube that was called just nothing. It wasn't even programmed into the game, because it obviously is still technically early access, I believe, or it's come out of early access. I can't remember which one it is, but it's not quite finished yet, and it's still got all of this content. And yeah, it's just made me want to play more survival games, more co-op games. And I think those types of games that introduce you to a genre or make you think about games in a different way are obviously the best games, because they're clearly doing something that's making your brain be like, oh, I actually quite like this, I might do more of it. So that's, that's always a great sign, isn't it? So that was Valheim. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Peace.